Live streaming, we're live streaming right now on our Fischler College of Education School of Criminal Justice YouTube channel. And who I have with me is Dr. Maribel Del Rio, who is my colleague from NSU, Fischler College of Education School of Criminal Justice. She's actually with the Department of Human Services. I'm with the School of Criminal Justice, and I'm the faculty advisor for a club called Sociodrama Club Stage for Change. What we do is a lot of theater exercises and a lot of theater techniques to educate and raise consciousness and awareness around social issues. And so since this was about wellness and the United Way, Angela Ventura, thank you so much for all of your hard work to make this happen. I also want to thank MODS, the Museum of Discovery, and their tech support people for all their help, because as soon as we got here at 12 o'clock, we started to harass them. Asking to protect things and this and that, and they were so wonderful. So I really appreciate them, especially Greg Nagel. That's the guy that I was in touch with, right? And he really helped. So again, thank you, Angela, for asking us to be here. We decided to do this, it's called How Can I Help? And it's a suicide prevention and awareness. This is Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month, is it not? In September. And so what you're going to see is a scenario, a couple of scenarios. After each one, I'm going to freeze the scene and go to you, and Dr. Del Rio and I will kind of tag team, giving you, maybe some ideas and getting some ideas from you on how can you help in this situation. This is a real scenario, right? So this happens all the time. A lot of teenagers, a lot of adolescents struggle, and those in-betweens, the tweens, also struggle with self-esteem issues, coping, strain, cutting, self-harm, and thoughts of suicide. So this is real, and it really is actually more magnified. Dr. Del Rio, tell me if I'm wrong here, but it's more magnified for people from the LGBTQ community, people who are people of color, people who are disenfranchised, people who are marginalized. It all becomes the strain of life and the strain of society, and our society today is magnified for folks who feel on the margins, that they are on the margins. So let's have a discussion. This is not a lot of fun, and this is certainly not entertaining. But the tools that we use, which are theater techniques and theater exercises, and also interacting with the characters, between the dialogue with the audience and the characters, that's what makes this rich and potent. So, are we ready? We're ready to begin? Action.
Really? You think that's right? Cross that off.
Why don't you just put all C?
You are so stupid. Maybe you should get tested for a learning disability.
Why don't we try looking at what the other kids put? You know what? Actually, I don't think you could read it.
You studied this last night. How do you not know it by now?
You're a disappointment to yourself, your friends, and your family.
Shut up! Shh. Okay, freeze. So there's a couple of things going on here, right? We have somebody, the main player, the main actor is wearing this clown mask. What do you guys think that signifies? Why do you think we even do that? What is this mask about? Yes, ma'am.
To not show others our true self, we feel like we have to put on a mask and pretend like we're someone who we're not, to be accepted.
Okay, excellent. Anything else? I mean, there's a lot of feelings that we have that we hold in that we're not telling people about. Anybody ever ask you, how you doing? And then you say, fine, fine. Some people say, well, that really stands for something else. All freaked out, insecure, neurotic, right? So I'm wearing this mask, but I'm really feeling a lot of things. What's your name?
Lily.
Lily. So you try to put on a happy face, but there's some other stuff going on inside of you, right? And who are these two characters? What do you think they're about?
Self-doubt.
Self-doubt? Thoughts in the head?
Inner voice.
Sorry?
Inner voice.
The inner voice? Those belief systems. Dr. Del Rio, do you want to maybe talk a little bit about these negative beliefs that we have and where they come from about ourselves? You know, about our self-image, about our own sense of who we are. Where does this come from, these thoughts and these voices in our head?
Well, I actually see it as, not only is she trying to cover up her true feelings, I think this is how she feels about herself. She feels like she's a clown. She feels like people are making fun of her. She has these negative thoughts, and this internal dialogue is something that once you start having these intrusive, repetitive thoughts, you can't make them go away that easily, right? And so they become overwhelming, and then how do you counter some of those challenging thoughts?
Absolutely, and I'm gonna self-disclose. I know that this is being live streamed publicly, but I will tell you this. Okay, so I'm Dr. Telesco. I have a PhD in social work from Fordham University. I always say Fordham University, my alma mater in New York. And you know, there are times where I'm sitting around with other people, like Dr. Del Rio, let's say, you know, and I will feel less than. Can anybody identify? Can anybody relate to this? You know, and it's those voices. The voices in my head will say things to me like, all you have is a GED. Like, it doesn't even matter that I have a PhD, right? And I do, from a really good school. I'm still paying the loan, despite what you read in the newspaper, okay? But I'll always go to that GED place. That's that place within me that questions myself, questions my abilities, questions am I smart enough? You know, I also come from New York. I come from Brooklyn. So I got this accent I've been trying very hard to get rid of, you know, all these years so that I can sound smarter, right? What is it? All of that comes from these negative beliefs. And that's what these two characters are portraying. Let's see where this goes. You want to see where this goes?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to scene 2 real quick. And as you're watching the scene, what I want you to think about is how could you help? Because Lily, you know, I come from a social work background, so we always talk about things like person in the environment. So we talk about you're not alone in this. There's other systems at play. So friends, support, right? What else? Teachers? Who else serves as support for her environment, for Lily's environment? Religious leaders. Anybody else? How about parents? Right, your family, right? Your siblings. Are there any siblings? You know? What is her support system? And so I want you, as you're watching this unfold, and if it's making you uncomfortable, and you know, I have to say, Angela said to me in the hall, she's like, I said, Angela, where's the audience? And she said, every time I hand them the flyer and they find out it's about suicide, they're like,
it's taboo.
It's taboo, we don't want to talk about it, right? But how can we help unless we talk about this? We have to put this into the light, not in the dark, right? Because secrets and things that we keep in and the stigma of that is only going to hurt us. So as we're watching scene 2 unfold, I'd like you to think about, how can I help? If I were in Lily's circle, if I were in Lily's environment, how could I help? Action.
Really? You're seriously gonna wear that out in public? Look at that sweatshirt. It makes you look so heavy. And look at those pants. Turn around. Look how flat you look. It's embarrassing. And your makeup? You need to put more on. I can see all your flaws and all your pimples. And your hair? What is that? It looks like a rat's nest.
Lily, hurry up. You're making me late. Every Wednesday. Oh my God, you're just like your mother.
Freeze. Okay, come back in here, Father. Father, come back in. He left.
He's coming in the back door.
Not surprising. Okay, so, sir, you want to come up front for a minute? I want to ask you a couple questions. All right, who are you in this scenario?
I'm her father. I'm Lily's father.
You're Lily's father. What do you mean by every Wednesday I have to deal with this? What does that mean?
Well, every time I come to pick her up, she's always late. We have joint custody, me and her mother. So every time I come to pick her up, she's either making me late, she's never on time. It's always a problem, always something going on.
Okay. What do you guys think about how the father, this interaction? between the father and Lily? What do you think?
The father seems like he doesn't want to be there. Like it's a big deal for him to have that Wednesday. Whether she's late or not, it's still his kid, and you accept it because we were all kids, and we've been there.
Okay, what else? What else do you notice? He throws in something about the mother. What does he say? Is it a compliment? No, what does he say?
You're just like your mother.
You're just like your mother. And there must have been some tension, I would imagine, with you and Lily's mother.
Yeah, it's not going too well.
Not going too well. All right. So you don't really have a lot of love and like in your heart for the mom, huh?
No.
So, and if you're just like your mother, then what is that message?
That you're unlikable, I don't like you. That's exactly the message that he's giving her.
And as somebody who came from divorced parents or separated parents, my mother never said anything like that in front of me. You don't do that because you're creating an image of your loss and putting it onto your child. You don't do that.
I want to ask Lily a question. So Lily, I don't know if you feel like talking or not. Are you into it right now to maybe talk? Not really. But how did that make you feel? Can you just tell us? Because I know she's still wearing the clown mask. She's still wearing that smile on the outside kind of thing, but crying in the inside, right? How does this make you feel when Dad talks to you like that?
It makes me feel unwanted whenever he does it like that.
Okay. And why are you late? I mean, is that true? What's that about, this lateness that he brought up?
He just thinks that every time I'm getting ready, I'm just always late for wherever he has to take me and everything, even though I'm not usually.
Now, in the first scene, Lily, you were having trouble with school. You were having trouble with the test, it looks like, right? So, like, can you speak a little bit about what's going on with that?
I just get test anxiety whenever I'm in tests, and it was just really hard like that.
What kind of emphasis do we place on how well we do in school? Do we, a lot of, and does it have something to do with or represent significantly your value of who you are? I mean, it feels like that, right? Self-worth. And someone is asking us to do well, right? Someone is asking us to get good marks, get good grades. I mean, this is what our whole life is about, right? I bet in school you do really well. Yeah? And do you get upset or a little test anxiety when you're taking tests? Yes. Like, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? I got anxiety before this thing was going on. This is kind of like a test for me, right? Oh, we got anxiety. Because if this goes well, then I value myself. But the truth is that this has nothing to do with my value. Am I right? Yeah. But here's the thing. I have that awareness. How old are you, Lily?
I'm 15.
Do you think that she has that kind of self-awareness? No, maybe not. Not yet, anyway, right? All right. Let's see where this goes, and then we can talk maybe a little bit about how we can help. And you know, also in that scene, we saw a lot about body image and body dysmorphia, right? And this is why many adolescents, teenagers, and adults have eating disorders, right? We see this all the time. Not only do I have to do well on my tests to value myself, but how I look is so important. Everything is about that. How many of you are on Instagram? Yeah? So how many of you value likes when people like you? And how we look. And we do a lot of selfies. People do a lot of selfies. And we always want to make sure, like we got a big picture before, right, Angela? We got a big picture with the United Way. Here comes another picture. And I was so happy when the photographer said, stand sideways. Because you know that's the trick. Stand sideways. But that, again, about our body image, about how we think we look, is equated with our value in the world. And so that was another point I really wanted to make about Lily looking in the mirror and feeling fat. Being told about her hair, being told about pimples. All of this is, the life of the adolescent. I don't know about you, I'm 62 years old, and I would never want to go back to the adolescent, time in my development. Why? Because it's not easy. Right, Joe? It's not easy. And there's a lot of judgment, and there's these voices in the head. Action.
Mom, I'm Dad.
Sorry, had to pick up a double shift. How sad.
Aww, it's almost like they do this every time.
Don't you realize that you don't matter to them anymore?
Oh, sweetheart, do you think it was going to be different this time? Just because it's your birthday?
You don't matter to them. You don't matter to anybody.
Oh, what are these? Why don't we take a closer look?
Oh, your mom's pills? Maybe she did leave you a birthday present after all.
Why don't we sing you happy birthday? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Freeze. Okay, I really want to save Lily's life. Lily, tell us what's going on for you.
So it's my birthday, and my braces said that my parents aren't home, so I saw some pills on the ground and I was about to take them.
What does your mother do for a living?
She's a nurse.
She's a nurse, and she's working another shift?
Yeah.
Does she work a lot?
Yeah, quite regularly. I come home from school and she's not here.
Why does she pick up extra shifts?
Because she's a single mother and my dad doesn't pay the bills or anything.
So he's not really paying his child support? Is this something common? And that's not to male bash, because it could go either way, and it doesn't matter. The bottom line here is about economics, right? It's about strain. It's about she feels this terrible amount of strain, Lily's mom. She can't help it. She takes the extra shift. But at the same time, Lily feels neglected and left out. What would it take, Lily, for us to have you take the mask off? What do you want from us to help you?
I think just someone being there and being friendly for me.
Is there anybody in the audience that can help? No, I'm serious. Is there anybody here in the audience that feels like they could sit here and be a friend?
Sure.
You want to try? Yeah. Okay. We're going to give you a mic so this way you can be heard. Have a seat. What's your name?
Joel.
Joel. Okay, Joel, pull up a chair, and Lily, if you feel comfortable and you feel validated and you feel empowered, then feel free to take off your mask. If you don't, then leave it on.
Okay.
And voices in the head, what do we want them to do?
Go away.
We want them to just shut up right now. Shut up right now. Okay. Action.
Hi, Lily.
Hi.
I'm Joel.
Nice to meet you. I'm Lily.
You have a lot of self-worth. We don't always think that way. And as we grow up, we learn our value. The voices in our head can be real difficult on us. Society has said that this is how people should be, and this is how people should be. You're here today, and there's things that go on in our lives that we don't always understand. It's a tough society where our parents have to sometimes work extra. Some of the ways that we can overcome that is find things that make us feel good. Volunteering, getting a job ourselves. You're at an age where you can actually get a job, maybe a work program in school. Doing things around people who make you feel good. What's your passion? What do you like doing?
Photography.
So maybe in your school you find a program that is photography, jobs. Volunteers are wanted everywhere.
Free.
And
Wow, excellent! Am I right? Okay, that's great. Thank you, Joel. Fantastic. How did that feel to you, Lily?
It felt a lot better that someone cared and that someone was there to support me and validate what I was feeling and everything, and just trying to cheer me up, so to speak.
Okay, great. What'd you like about what Joel's intervention was? Dr. Del Rio, do you want to comment?
Sure. I think he was trying to normalize her feelings so she understood that she wasn't alone, that a lot of people feel that way. And on top of that, trying to get her to be active. So that loneliness that she's feeling, that inadequacy. What are things that you can do? What are your passions? How can you put your strength at work to help you feel empowered, to help you make friends that have similar interests? So I think he did a really nice job at that.
Excellent, great, awesome. Here's what I want to do. I want to ask did you notice that the voices went away? The voices backed off. How many of us feel that way, where we've got this kind of committee in your head, so to speak? You know, tick, 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 always saying something, right? It's human nature. How do you feel about Lily? Do you feel like if you were friends with Lily, you might want to say something? Yeah? You want to try? You want to step in? No? How about if I do it with you? Can I do it with you? No? No? Okay. Does anybody want to do it with me? Anybody else from the audience? Younger folks? You want to try? Awesome. Great. All right, you come here and I'm going to, instead of sitting down next to you, I'm going to just kneel down and I'll coach you, I'll help you out. Let's see if we can befriend Lily. I'll just put this a little closer so that we can.
Yeah, I feel fine.
Just the way you make it. You want me to seem like it's sometimes easier. If you ever need someone to talk to, you want to.
Awesome. Awesome. That's good. Thank you. Have a seat. Good job. Excellent. Now this is pretty dangerous. This is pretty serious. When we get to this point. When it gets to this point, it's really serious and hard. And in fact, in Florida, we have laws about if someone is a danger to themselves or others, it's something called the Baker Act, right? And so, as mental health counselors, as mental health professionals, even in schools, we have mandatory reporting, etc., and then we would have to take action. But let's help Lily before it gets to this point. Right? So what are the signs? What are the warning signs? How can we help? What are some of the things that we can do? Right? So empowering, validating, and is there anything else? Are you feeling a little bit better?
A little bit, yeah, just a little bit.
What is it that's making you feel better?
Just the amount of support from Joe and Elio. Did I say it right? Just validating the fact that people do feel this way sometimes. And also that there are people who actually care about me and this world and everything.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with you, Lily. Right? There's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with a lot of the situations and the circumstances that we want to see if we can intervene in. All right. Questions, comments, thoughts, doubts, any other statements? Dr. Del Rio, anything else from a mental health perspective?
I think the important piece is that when Lily turns to this, it means she feels she has no other way out, right? She has no other options. So I think it's important to talk to her about what are other things that will make you feel better? What are other options? What are other things? Because ultimately, this is to just make the pain go away. She's obviously in pain. And so she thinks that by doing this, the pain is going to disappear. But what are other things that she can do? And I think maybe even encouraging her to talk to a professional, to talk to a counselor, to talk to someone who can help her cope. And there are many people that have these types of thoughts and feelings, but that hurting yourself is not going to make things better. It's only going to hurt you in the long run and hurt the people that you love and that love you. So I think really talking to her about this is not the way out. And that there is a solution. And I think that really when we get to that point, you're at that point of desperation where you feel, I have no other options.
Now here's the thing that's really interesting. Lily's mom is a nurse. She should really be aware and be able to triage this and understand and know all the signs. But what's going on for Lily's mother?
Just trying to make it.
Her life is kind of a little chaotic and out of control, right? She's the divorce and the job and finances and
her own issues.
And she's got her own stuff, and I bet she's got a whole set of characters who are voices in her head also. What were you gonna say?
I was just going to say that I recently heard something that said that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. There's a lot of issues.
And once it's done, it's game over, right? Then there's no taking that back, right? So if we can give you anything, a takeaway is tell somebody. Just tell somebody. It's not anything to be ashamed of, these feelings we have, because even those professionals, even the professionals feel this way, okay? When we all look at, like, Robin Williams, for example, all right? You look at a guy like that, talk about the mask, talk about the clown face, right? Here's he's this comedian, so funny, has so much going for him, and yet, all of these demons that are going on, these voices in the head, we don't even know what people are walking around with. So here's how we can help. So somebody walks by you and you're like, hey, how you doing? You know them from school, you know them from work, and you're like, how you doing? And they're like, I'm all right. Did you ever have that experience where you are asked, how are you doing? And you're like, and the person's like, okay, great, have a nice day. Because they're not even listening, they're not even paying attention. So let's be more open-minded, let's be more open-hearted, let's cherish one another. Let's cherish each other. And if we can help in that way, we can save your life. Okay, I'm gonna ask for my voices in the head, who have gotten a bad rap, to take off their masks and to come out of character. I'm gonna ask for all those who are involved, you can just leave that, Noah, everybody who's involved, all my students, come on up, the Sociodrama Club, Stay for Change, come on up, everybody, yep, come on up, stand over here behind, one of you can sit down and stand behind. Okay, so every time we do these kinds of presentations and performances, we develop them, we talk about them, we practice them, all right, and we get it pretty good, pretty solid, they're very realistic. But most importantly, I'm going to pass the mic around and ask these students, who are all undergrads at NSU, some of them are criminal justice majors, raise your hand, nice and high. Some of you are biology majors, raise your hand, very good. Some of you are psych, raise your hand. Did I lose anybody? Did I miss anybody? Accounting. No, we need those.
Number crunchers.
There's a okay, so I'm going to pass the mic around. I'm going to ask them to share with you what this experience was like, working on this. They've been working on it for months, it feels like, years. And then what was it like to actually come to fruition?
So, first of all, I just want to say thank you for you guys showing up to this performance. I know there's not a lot of you, but it's those who count. So what it was like creating this, we actually created this last year, like the idea, or we had this part of the idea last year, where we did it in front of a couple of classmates and people at our college, MSU, and it was quite eye-opening. I didn't play a part last year. I just was like a person who removed the blocks off the stage and stuff like that. So I didn't play the main character this year, last year, sorry. But it was still really eye-opening and everything. And then playing it this year was even more eye-opening to see that people actually go through this. And now I know how to help someone going from there, from the next step.
Excellent. Joey?
Yes, I want to thank everybody for coming, first of all. So this was the first performance I ever saw being done by the Sociodrama Club, and how I found out about the Sociodrama Club. And at first I didn't know what to expect, but I was like, wow, this really touched home, because I feel like we can all relate to this in some type of way, especially, while you're a teenager and just a young adult in college. So this being the first performance, it holds a special place in my heart, so it was nice to be in it this time.
Great. Let's pass it in the back.
If there's one thing I can say about this performance, basically touching on what they just said and what Dr. T was saying the whole time, is that we really need to take a second to kind of appreciate where we are and how far we've come and how much further we can go. And I really like when you said about that it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. I thought that was something that maybe that we didn't need to hear today, but we could get on. So.
Excellent. Shannon?
Yeah, I was one of the bad voices, obviously. But I think a performance like this is very important to do because, like you said, it's not talked about a lot, but actually knowing the signs is really important because nowadays it's actually joked about a lot. Like people will be like, oh, I'm going to kill myself, stuff like that. But now the people who are actually feeling this way, how do you know they're not one of the ones joking too? How do you know when someone's serious? And that's why knowing all the other signs and listening to people, even if you think they're joking, you never know if they're not. So it's important to always talk to someone and know everybody matters.
Excellent. Annie?
So I think, yeah, so definitely this is the second time I've gotten to be a part of this performance, and I was actually a voice both times. But what's interesting about kind of playing the role of one of the voices is, especially like I said, like I'm a psychology major, and kind of things like this, like mental health, kind of just awareness and intervention programs are like one of the biggest reasons that I ended up going into this field in the first place. And then even being someone that has struggled with depression, has been in both of these chairs, has either been the person dealing with it, thankfully not to this point, but that's because of the different people that I was able to have in my life like at that time, and just kind of getting past that. But then also even being the friend to kind of reach in and just kind of notice those different signs and be there when someone needed it, and just knowing the difference that it made. It really just kind of really brings out the importance and impact of things like this. And even just kind of like standing in the back with the mask on, just looking around the room and getting to see the way that it touched different people. It was like, I was in the back and I was like, am I gonna cry? Like just kind of seeing it. And then even one of the biggest things I think is kind of just seeing like the range of ages in the room, is because a lot of time, of course, like this was kind of like used like a 15-year-old, but really it can happen, and it happens at any age. And even something I heard more recently was that a lot of times, whenever it comes to suicide, in the cases where the person actually dies, it's even more common in men, because there's a lot of things, of course, like toxic masculinity, but even just kind of like being harder to talk about different emotions and everything. And it's like the way that men will kind of go about that are often more deadly scenarios. So it's kind of just like making sure that as we're doing these things, that they are inclusive, to talk about different ages, different genders, socioeconomic background, religion, sexual orientation, everything, and just kind of getting that help to everyone that needs it, and just kind of being that person that can help at the end of the day.
Awesome. Thank you. Noah?
I just want to thank Dr. T, first of all, just because this is my first year ever performing with the Sociodrama Club, and since then I've noticed it's much more than just a club. We're out here, we're making changes, and I think it's just amazing. Leading up to the performance, our practices, they're very serious. At first I didn't know what to think. It's a very serious topic. I don't act, I don't do anything related to this, and just the idea that we're performing something about suicide and all our other performances that are not happy-go-lucky. They're very dark, they're very serious topics, and I just think it's amazing that we have this ability to share with everyone in this room about sensitive topics like this. I just think that's great, so I want to thank Dr. T for that.
Thanks, Noah. Alex?
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, so it's my first year too for performance, and overall it's been like a great experience. We have a lot of other different topics as well. So it's like mainly for like high school age, middle age, like younger people. But I think at least for like suicide, like it's a topic that sadly affects and can affect everybody and everybody. Like it's sad that it's a reality that we actually have to think about nowadays everywhere in the world. And yeah, the whole point of this is to raise some more awareness, because it's a tricky subject and thing. You really can't know what's in the back of somebody's like mind, and more often than not, a lot of the things we feel don't get said. So again, thank you, Dr. T, for setting everything up and for this experience.
Good. Thanks so much, Alex. And Dr. Del Rio has the last word.
I just want to stress that you don't have to be a mental health professional to help. Okay, a lot of times you don't have to intervene, you don't have to say the exact right words, you just have to listen and take the time to ask. do you need anything? Or how are you feeling? Are you okay? And sometimes just taking the time to say, hey, I notice you, I see you, that can make the world of a difference. So don't feel the pressure that you have to say the right words. You have to know whether they are gonna hurt themselves or not. Just ask them if they're okay. If you see someone, just something doesn't feel right, that's really, the best and most helpful thing that you can do.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Del Rio. And, Dr. Del Rio came from far away to come and do this for us, and I so much appreciate your friendship, working with you, collaborating. I was a little disappointed when I was told that it was going to be about 100 high school students. And, we went crazy trying to close this, get this wall down so that we can have a big giant stage. Okay, but here's the thing about the work we do, and I really believe it, and I always say it. If we save one life, and then we're live streaming too, if there's one life that we save, if there's one person that says, I saw that thing, I remember that, I'm going to tell somebody something. That's all that matters, and that's why we keep doing this. We don't do this to get Emmys or Oscars or Stewies. That's a private joke. It's an NSU joke, but anyway, and maybe this year will be the year that we get it. But we don't do it for that. We don't do it for accolades. We don't do it for lines on our resume. We do this because we really believe in the work. And I hope that you were impacted in a powerful, potent way. But I know that the truth of the matter is, because I've been doing this a really long time, the impact is really here. This is the impact. Because they're working on this project, and they're taking it on, and they're getting their hands dirty with it. And they will never forget this.
Nope.
For as long as they live. And so that's why I keep doing it. So thank you so much, Dr. Del Rio, for taking the time. Thank you, Angela, again, for arranging it. Thank you all. Hope you got something out of it. Please feel free to talk to us if you would like us to bring this to your community or anyone you know. Thank you.